My name is Neringa Černiauskaitė. I'm part of Pakui Hardware collective together with Ugnius Gelguda. And since 2014, Pakui Hardware has been invited to many institutions to have solo shows or group shows. And next Venice Biennial, the 60th Venice Biennial, Pakui Hardware will represent Lithuania together with historic painter Marija Teresa Rožanskaitė. When we were approached by La Casa Encendida last year in early spring about the possibility to curate the whole year program at the Room A or La Sala A, it was a very difficult time for us because it was the full-scale Russian invasion into Ukraine, and it has been very difficult to think of other possible themes actually except fragility or resilience, because we kept thinking how resilient those people are that are being attacked constantly. But then we thought of resilience in broader term and started researching on this very difficult and complex topic. And actually we found out that resilience has been quite a buzzword in the art world and in the general narrative and context, but how much it was also kind of co-opted by the neoliberal regime, because now it's very convenient to kind of almost force people to be resilient as if it's some kind of personal trait rather than something that you're forced to become because of the different kind of conditions that you're put into. So instead of fixing the systems themselves, all the responsibilities put on individuals. And so with this project, Reclaiming Resilience, we wanted to kind of invert this logic and to look for more of a communal resilience of how it is built as a common effort, as something that might unite, something that might help heal and help endure things, but more as of a collective approach rather than this imposed individual responsibility. So at first, when you think of resilience, it seems like you would have some kind of violent event or trauma or some kind of hardship to start with that you fight against, and then you would maybe have some healing process and then more of a material resilience or endurance. And so these artists embody these different stages of resilience, and Dominique White is the first artist that is having a solo show here, and her installation really is very much about this kind of violent resistance against the state, in which she talks about this myth of Hydra, the many-headed Hydra, which was often addressed especially in the 17th century, as these kind of people that might resist this expansion of capitalism and colonialism. So the poor commoners, the laborers, the slaves and sailors that might create collaboration between themselves and then resist the state. But Dominique kind of inverts the logic, and the state becomes the Hydra and blackness becomes the executioner that kind of tries to cut the heads of the Hydra. And the installation is really, you could say, has a lot of this tension and almost brutality in it, but it's also suspended, and it's truly a powerful piece. The next installation would be by Monia Ben Hamouda, who is a Tunisian-Italian artist, and in her case, this resilience reveals itself through her heritage, cultural heritage, that she explores in her practice. So it's more of a resilience of culture against assimilation. And her father was a calligrapher, and she works quite a bit with all these religious and cultural symbols and rituals in her work. And it's going to be quite impressive installation, we can already tell. And the third artist is Naomi Gallardo, who is a Mexican artist, and we have encountered her work first in last Venice Biennial in Mexican Pavilion, and we were truly fascinated how she manages to encompass really lively, kind of performative events in the form of film, and they're really interesting narratives, kind of DIY costumes, but actually the content is quite serious because she talks about extractivism and also again colonialism, and she uses this kind of feminist anti-colonial practices and this American Mesopotamian cosmologies to kind of resist this extractivism that is often coming from the West and from Europe as well, including. And the last one is Bianca Bondi, who's a South African artist living in Paris. With her practice, we were more interested in the material approach to resilience. So it's more about material endurance. And she uses salt and different kind of chemistry to basically freeze objects and environments. And she's making these immersive installations. But she's also interested in this kind of chemical, almost alchemical approach of how to deal with ecology around you. And also she thinks a lot about rebirth and regeneration through these almost occult practices that she's engaging with.